Знаете, на самом деле,
You know what is actually happening around Serbia and Kosovo goes organically within the context that we're seeing in the OSCE. First, they find an agreement, they celebrate the results, and then they are slowly watching the beginning of small-scale and then large-scale sabotage. I already gave you the examples of numerous agreements of the OSCE that were later methodically destroyed by the West. Speaking of Serbia and Kosovo, I remember the European Union as the great mediator in many situations, was acting at the call of the General Assembly. It was really willing for the UN General Assembly to make an address to the European Union to promote the bridge building between Belgrade and Pristina. And in 2013, more than 10 years ago, they solemnly declared that they had found agreement on the establishment of the community of Serbian municipalities in Kosovo. 10 years ago, nothing happened. The people who were appointed to be the leaders of this Serbian region were categorically refusing to comply with everything. So what did the European Union do? Was it demanding anything from them? No. They only made demands for Serbia to change its positions. They've already created a new document on the community of Serbian municipalities in Kosovo, which is starkly different from what Belgrade and Pristina signed 10 years ago. This really looks like many other situations and other agreements in the past in the OSCE. And in parallel, the Serbians are told, if you're willing to join the European Union, well, we wouldn't open a new chapter for the talks unless you join all the foreign political decisions of the European Union, including the sanctions against the Russian Federation. That's how Europe is trying to convince them. They say they wouldn't admit them unless they admitted and recognized Kosovo, or at least supported the admittance of Kosovo as a member of international organizations. Is this for real? This is like what they're doing now, when they're trying to extend the mandates of their leaders. I am deeply concerned about the people of Serbia. Back when I was working in New York at the UN mission, I used to come to Bosnia and Herzegovina as a representative of the Security Council. I used to come to Croatia and to Serbia and Belgrade, and I saw what they did to Belgrade. The same people who are now saying that there is a first-time large-scale war in Europe, in Ukraine, as if there was no war in 1999. To quote the American and British magazines of the day, I can't really remember the quotes, but they had slogans on the covers saying that the Serbian repentance would cleanse the people of Serbia, something like that. Now I see that they continue to pursue the same policy, not just in Serbia, against the Republic Srpska, and they're doing the same against those who believe into the interests of their own people, against those who want to preserve their dignity as politicians. Unfortunately, there is a small number of such people. All the rest is moving in the same direction as proclaimed before, like the end of history and the liberal world order. Everything goes together under one leadership and the rest supporting. We're not imposing anything on anyone. All the people have the right for self-determination, and the fact that the European Union has been reborn is apparent. It was originally intended to be a union of countries for the sake of the welfare of their citizens, to stand together. And now look what they're doing now, what the so-called European Peace Fund is allocating its funds for. Listen to what the diplomats are saying, the great diplomats of the European Union. Listen to what the European Commission is saying now. Essentially, they have usurped the power. There are many examples of member states starting to ask the question, why exactly is the European Commission taking decisions for the member states? I'm not calling for the collapse of the European Union. There's no need for such calls. I am just showing you how the countries are acting. They are calling themselves the abode of democracy, but we see no democracy in the European Union. We only see the discipline style worse, or rather better than in NATO.